You know, there's this recurring fantasy every entrepreneur has. It usually happens around 11 p.m. on a Tuesday when you're drowning in tabs. You just wish you could snap your fingers and have a clone. Not an assistant who needs instructions every 5 minutes, but a clone who just gets it. Who does the work?
That dream of the autonomous employee.
Exactly. Someone or something that doesn't sleep, doesn't complain, and actually finishes the project. Well, looking at the news this week, it feels like we just crossed a very specific threshold. That fantasy, it might just be software now.
It's definitely looking that way. We are talking, of course, about Perplexity's latest launch. They're calling it Computer.
Which, honestly, sounds a bit retro, like calling a smartphone a cellular telephone. But the capabilities seem to be anything but retro.
It's deceptively simple naming for something that is actually quite complex. If you look past the name, what they've actually launched is a cloud-based AI worker. And I want to stress the word worker here. We aren't talking about a chatbot anymore. We aren't talking about something you chat with to get a recipe or a quick summary of a PDF.
Right. Because the current paradigm is, I ask a question, the AI gives an answer. Then I have to go do something with that answer.
Precisely. That's the passive assistant model. Perplexity Computer is the active worker model. You give it a high-level goal, something vague and complex, like build me a content funnel or audit my entire code base, and it doesn't just give you a list of steps, it goes and does them.
That's the part that blew my mind reading the release. It's the autonomy. It plans, it executes, and it keeps going until the job is done. But how? I mean, we've seen agents before, and usually they get stuck in a loop or hallucinate wildly. What's different under the hood here?
The difference is in the orchestration. And this is fascinating from a technical standpoint. Perplexity didn't just slap a new interface on GPT-4 or Claude. They built what they're calling an orchestration system that manages 19 different AI models.
19?
19. Think of it like a construction site. You don't want the plumber doing the electrical work, and you don't want the architect laying bricks.
Right.
So, Perplexity Computer acts as the general contractor. It sits in the middle. When you give it a project, it breaks that project down into a graph of tasks. Then, it routes each specific task to the model best suited for it. If it needs deep reasoning, it might send that to a model like Claude Opus. If it needs fast web research, it sends it to a search-optimized model. Image generation? Different model.
So it's an ensemble cast.
It's an orchestra. And there's a conductor model rumored to be a version of Claude Opus 4.6 that manages the dependencies. It says, OK, the research is done. Now pass that data to the coding model to build the script, and once the script is done, pass it to the deployment model.
That solves the jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none problem we see with single models.
Exactly. And because this is all happening in the cloud, it's persistent. It can run for hours. It can run for months, theoretically.
That brings up the infrastructure piece. Because if I'm a business owner, the idea of an AI doing work sounds great, but the idea of an AI having access to my machine sounds terrifying.
And that's the big divide right now in the AI world. Perplexity has taken a very specific stance here. Computer runs in a cloud sandbox. It has its own browser, its own file system, its own environment. It is completely isolated from your laptop.
So if it goes rogue and deletes a directory, it's deleting its own directory, not my hard drive.
Correct. It's a managed, secure environment. This is a direct shot across the bow at the open source community. You've probably heard of tools like OpenClaw.
Yeah, the developer crowd loves OpenClaw. It runs locally, right?
It does. OpenClaw is incredible technology. It's open source. It runs on your Metal. It can control your mouse, read your local files, access your personal email. It's like having a digital Jarvis. But, and it's a massive but, you are the IT department. You manage the security. If that agent makes a mistake, it's making a mistake on your actual computer.
Which is fine if you're a hacker or a dev, but if you're running a consulting firm or a marketing agency,
You don't want to be debugging your AI employees' permissions. You just want the work done. Perplexity is betting that the vast majority of businesses want results, not infrastructure management. They want a safe employee that lives in the cloud, connects to their SaaS tools, Slack, Notion, GitHub, but doesn't actually live inside their operating system.
Speaking of operating systems, though, there was a little detail tucked into the announcement involving Samsung. Did you catch that?
I did, and honestly, that might be the biggest sleeper news in the whole release.
The Galaxy S26 integration.
Right, they aren't just keeping this in the browser, they're embedding this agent technology at the OS level of the new Samsung phones. Hey Plex,
That feels like a glimpse into the future of mobile computing.
it is. It signals that Perplexity doesn't see computer as just a website you visit. They see it as a layer that sits on top of everything. Imagine you're on your phone, you get an email about a crisis at work. Instead of opening 5 different apps to fix it, you just hold the side button and say, "Hey Plex, read that email, draft a response, update the project board, and Slack the team." And it just happens.
That's the shift from using a phone to directing a phone.
Exactly.
So, let's bring this back to the listeners, the entrepreneurs, the creators. We've been hearing about AI agents for a year now. It feels like we've been in the hype phase. Does this launch mark the beginning of the utility phase?
I think it does. And I think it creates a very dangerous moment for businesses that are slow to adapt.
Dangerous how?
Well, look at the economics of it. If I have to hire a human developer to build a micro SaaS to validate an idea, that might take 2 weeks and cost me $5,000.
Sure.
If I can tell Perplexity Computer, research this niche, write the code, wire up the APIs, and deploy it, and it costs me a subscription fee and maybe 4 hours of wait time, the cost of innovation just dropped to near zero.
The barrier to entry is gone.
Completely. This means the speed of execution is about to skyrocket. The entrepreneurs who learn to delegate projects rather than tasks are going to lap everyone else.
That's a key distinction. Delegating a project versus a task. Can you unpack that?
A task is write a blog post about coffee. A project is build a content funnel for my coffee brand that targets remote workers. The AI we've had up until now was good at the blog post. The AI we have starting today can handle the funnel. It can research the target audience, generate the assets, set up the distribution.
So the human role shifts from manager to almost director or visionary.
You become the architect. You aren't laying the bricks anymore. And that's scary for some people because laying bricks feels like work. It feels productive.
It feels safe. You know what you did at the end of the day.
Exactly. But if you're still laying bricks while your competitor has an army of 19 AI models building skyscrapers next door, you're going to lose.
It's interesting you mention the army aspect, because with 19 models working in concert, we're also seeing a shift in how we perceive intelligence. It's not one giant brain anymore. It's a collective.
It is. And that's actually a more human way of working, isn't it? We don't expect one human to be the lawyer, the coder, and the graphic designer. We build teams. Perplexity has essentially productized the team concept,
And made it accessible to anyone with a Mac subscription.
which is the other wild part. This isn't enterprise-only software costing 10 grand a month. It's consumer accessible.
So, what's the catch? It can't be perfect.
Oh, it's definitely not perfect. It's early. If you give it something incredibly nuanced, requiring deep human empathy, or a very specific, messy legacy code base, it might struggle. It might get stuck.
It's a junior employee. A brilliant, tireless junior employee, but still junior.
Maybe a mid-level employee. but a mid-level employee that learns instantly. And unlike a human employee, when Perplexity updates the model next week, that employee gets smarter overnight without you having to retrain them.
That's a sobering thought.
It is, but it's also liberating. Think about the backlog of ideas every business owner has. The someday pile. Someday I'll build that tool. Someday I'll analyze that data.
The graveyard of good intentions.
Right. Perplexity Computer is the tool that clears that graveyard. You can throw those someday projects at it. If it fails, you lost a few hours of compute time. If it succeeds, you have a new asset.
So the strategy now is experiment aggressively.
Aggressively. If you are already paying for AI tools just to answer questions, you are wasting your money. You need to be evaluating tools that do the work.
It really feels like the era of the chatbot is ending. We're moving into the era of the workbot.
Or the digital co-worker. I think workbot sounds too mechanical. These things are showing reasoning capabilities. They are making decisions on how to route tasks. That's agency.
Agency. That's the word of the year.
It is. And looking forward, this integration with SaaS tools is only going to get deeper. Right now, it connects to over 100 tools. Imagine when it's 1,000. Imagine when it can negotiate on your behalf.
Hey, Plex, renegotiate my internet bill.
Why not? If it has the reasoning, the voice capability, and the authorization, we aren't far off.
It's exciting, but it also demands a level of clarity from us, the humans. If you ask a vague question, you get a vague answer. I imagine if you give a vague project to an autonomous agent,
You get a very expensive mess.
a rapidly generated mess.
Exactly. Prompt engineering is evolving into management engineering. You need to know how to define success clearly. You need to set the parameters. The AI can do the how, but you absolutely must provide the what and the why.
So our value as humans becomes our ability to define the why.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. The how is becoming a commodity. The why is the premium asset.
That's a profound place to land. We're handing over the execution, but we have to hold on to the intent tighter than ever.
Absolutely. The entrepreneurs who master that balanced human intent plus AI execution are going to build things we can't even imagine yet.
It's a brave new world, and apparently, it's hosted in a cloud sandbox.
And available on your Galaxy S26.
Indeed. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the death of the chatbot to the birth of the autonomous employee. It's clear that Perplexity Computer isn't just a feature update. It's a glimpse into a future where our digital tools stop waiting for us to type and start acting on our behalf.
It's the shift from user to manager. And it's happening right now.
So, here's the question I want to leave everyone with today. If you had an employee who never slept, who cost almost nothing, and who could access every tool in your business, what is the first thing you would ask them to build?
And more importantly, if you don't ask them to build it, will your competitor?
Oof, that's the one that's going to keep me up tonight.
Sorry about that.
No, it's the kick in the pants we need. As always, thank you for the insights.
Always a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, stop chatting with your AI. Put it to work. We'll catch you in the next episode.